welcome to Psychic Girls Next Door. And today we are back with the new episode where we talk about people pleasing and what not to. My goodness, do we have firsthand experience with people pleasing?
Yes, we do. And we're hoping you will be pleased with this episode.
Yes, but we're not trying to people please.
Exactly.
We're trying to do it from a more like grounded place. And how did we also find out we were people pleasers? Because to me, I wasn't even aware.
I feel like that's like the first step to understanding that you're a people pleaser, like realizing like you weren't aware that like because you're operating from like an old system of that benefits other people around you, right? So
Yeah.
like being able to have like, being to make decisions that that other people are going to not be okay with or be slightly uncomfortable or have negative opinions about. Like when you're a people pleaser, you avoid doing that completely. And
Yeah.
because you don't want to deal with like the backlash or like letting people down because of something that someone told you when you were a child, or maybe it was a past life information. Like that stays with you, and then it's going to get recycled and recycled and recycled. But I would love to you might have a different experience of people pleasing, Lily. I would love to know your take.
Yeah. So basically, according to ChatGPT, people pleasing is a behavior pattern where someone consistently prioritizes others' needs, feelings, or approval over their own, often to avoid conflict, gain acceptance, or feel valued. And that hits big time into my own experience growing up. And I think oftentimes it starts in childhood. In my case, it's because I've learned that women and I think growing up in a very Asian household too, you don't speak up, and you don't speak up, especially towards the elderly.
Oh, interesting. So there's like power dynamics.
Yeah, it's kind of this hierarchy.
Yeah.
That you don't speak up, and you always say yes. When sometimes you find it hard to say no, right? Because if you do say no, then there's gonna be a consequence.
Yeah.
A punishment.
Like internal discord happening, and like just like that what is cognitive dissonance, right? Where you're like you have to do something that you don't want to actually do, or and that serves other people.
Yeah, and then it starts at a very young age. At least that's how it started for me. Or you make a mistake, especially as a child, or you misbehave. So you always feel I see now that I'm always in this behavior like apologizing for it. Even sometimes you haven't done anything wrong.
Right.
You just do silly things or stupid things as a child, or as someone that is learning and growing, and I would notice that I would just be apologetic, felt guilty about it too.
Oh, totally. Yeah, the guilt that comes from like the potential of like hurting someone's feelings by not showing up for them, or like letting someone down. Like I remember like for most of my life. And I think, so I'm an executive assistant. That's my, I sunlight as an EA, I moonlight as a psychic. But in that role, something that I've been healing on with EMDR is people pleasing. And that's like my first thing that I wanted to reprocess, like this like deep core need that I feel obligated to please other people and serve others, but at my own detriment or discomfort, or like, making myself feel smaller to make other people feel, more seen in the room, or like, dimming my own light so that others can shine, or whatever situation is. And it shows up very differently with different people. But the one place that I see it happening all the time, that people are so used to me operating from that place, is in my workspace and as an EA. And like the whole point is to serve your executive and make sure that their life is easier. And I realized like, oh my God, I was going like, not necessarily above and beyond, but like they want you to always go above and beyond, whatever that means to them. It's always going to be specific. And then when you are a people pleaser, that's like the perfect cocktail for discomfort within yourself. So I realized like, oh, I'm trying to reframe like how, now that I've done a lot of reprocessing around this, like how can I do this job without people pleasing and without making myself, or like, please them, quote unquote, to like, appeal them and hit my milestones and be a good employee. Absolutely, yes. But also like not make myself feel so uncomfortable or exhausted or like hyper vigilant in so many ways that makes me like, drain my energy. And
Yeah, and
yeah.
that is the downside of the people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
And it might seem kind of helpful when you are, especially at a workspace,
Right.
or it feels like, oh my gosh, she's the nice one.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Because she's
Great
like,
to work
oh
with.
yeah, she's so selfless. She like,
Yeah. Oh,
everyone's
yeah.
prioritize everyone's needs. And it's a little bit, I don't know if it's like a cultural, maybe gender also expectation of women,
Yeah. Yeah.
expecting
No.
women to be in that sense of like, oh my God, yeah, she's the nurturer. She takes
Right.
everyone
Right.
under her wing. She sacrifices herself for the,
Right. For
what,
what?
for what? For like a project, right?
Right.
Like no
We're
one's
like,
gonna
we're not working in ER.
I
Like,
know no one's gonna remember like a few months from now, right?
right. Right. And
And
I had a friend early on in my EA career tell me, your executive's never going to know if you're going above and beyond or not. You are the only person who's going to know that. And you can tell he was not a people pleaser. So he was able to like make it work for him. And I mean, granted, he was like, a man in the role. So maybe, you know, but I know I've seen some boss EAs who take no shit and they're not people pleasers and they're amazing at their jobs. So I know like it is possible, and it's not related to like gender or anything like that. It's related to your mindset and like how you like process dynamics with people and situations based on like how you grew up and the information you took on from
yeah,
whoever, right?
well, it
Uh,
stems a lot from the fear, like
yeah,
fear not pleasing. And again, like
right.
that's why it's called people pleasing, is the fear of not being perceived in a way that you're
Yeah,
not perfect, and then you feel shame about it, and then there's guilt.
totally.
Like I have also been in not only jobs but also relationships too, where you feel guilty if you don't do certain things for people. And if you don't, if you sometimes I would stay in relationships because of the fear of being judged or criticized
Mhm.
or I don't know, like I had this unrealistic expectation that I would be able to manage other people's emotions, which you can't,
Oh, no,
right? You're
no.
only responsible for your own emotions. And that was where my fear and the shame would stem from. So it created a lot of imbalance
Yeah,
in the relationships. And of course, and then you start to become like resentful. You become anxious about things like this. There's also burnout, of course, like for work, right? Because
totally.
you never say no. You're always
Yep.
saying yes and taking on things. Then
Yeah.
you burn out. Then you lose your identity and all of this. Like, who am I if I'm not like taking care of others? Pretty much that's kind of how
Right.
it ends up like stemming off. And that causes a lot of physical and emotional issues too, I
Oh,
would say,
absolutely.
because it kind of like it creates like a ripple effect, right? Because you're not, you don't make yourself a priority.
Yeah.
So, and therefore, you're not going to be a priority,
Right. If you don't
right?
make yourself a priority, you won't be a priority. And if you don't recognize that you have needs, those needs will go unmet for years or months or however long. And then it'll start to really impact parts of your body. And you're like, oh, and then you have that wake up call like something feels icky inside, not just mentally, but from like, and not just spiritually, but like for physically, like whether you have stomach issues or Like I would remember I would always have acid reflux in when I was working at a couple startups ago, when I was just like full on people pleasing. Like I'm going to be perfect at work and never make a mistake. And, that expectation was never really put on me by anybody else. But like once you set that level of like service, people are going to expect that. And then you can't make a mistake and you can't falter off of that level. And so you kind of have to be strategic of like, how much am I willing to offer and provide for somebody, whether it's in a job relationship, friendship, like whatever it is, like so that I can make them feel, happy, shiny, yay, 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 but also make myself feel that way too. And when you are people pleasing, you don't even think about yourself. You're just constantly like externally focused. And I feel like when you are people pleasing, the need for external validation kind of goes hand in hand with that sometimes, like, because it's an exchange, right? Like I don't know if it's symbiotic or another like term, but they are getting what they need from you by you pleasing them. And then you're getting that tiny thank you or that tiny, wow, that made my day.
It's
And like,
kind of like your self-worth. It depends on others' approval.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's like the little, like, oh, you did a good job.
The carrot dangler.
Yeah.
You don't actually get the carrot because at the end of the day, you are your own carrot.
Oh, absolutely. You become the carrot.
You become the carrot.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you're talking about it too, because like energetically, what happens is that so your energy goes out somewhere else, people, places, so you don't have your energy.
Yeah, it's just constantly scattered. And
it's everywhere.
Different jars, different people. Like,
so it's very hard to function, create, manifest, align, have a healthy relationship with yourself if your energy.
Feel rested.
Yeah,
feel at
it's
peace.
out there. So it means that you don't have it. It's anywhere else but within yourself. So I would say that it would be helpful, I guess, for us to I guess share, some like what worked for us in, overcoming this
it's like recognizing that
tendency or the behavior or pattern or however we want to call it.
Yeah.
I think for me, the most like what blew my mind was learning the word boundary. It was so interesting when I started like this healing journey. And I don't know, it was maybe, I want to say like 8 years ago. And we had like, I remember we were in our meditation training and I remember hearing the word boundary and I'm like, what?
What is that?
What is that? What a foreign concept. And because it's not it didn't used to be as popular as it is today. Today, we talk a lot more about boundaries and how to set boundaries and all of that. But to me, like, I had no idea, like, how boundaries worked and how that it looked like. Because when you are in a people-pleasing pattern, it's terrifying, right? Even like saying no to me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like, it was just like... Yeah, it was so jarring. Just like the thought of like,
if I say no, then I'm gonna let them down or hurt their feelings.
Yeah, they're gonna be disappointed with me,
I won't get
or
invited
like
again.
Yeah, like they're not gonna like me anymore. They're not gonna be my friends. So you go through all this like narratives and all this
fear
like,
of loss, or like
this catastrophic things are gonna happen if you say no. But I think it was more like, to me, because the more you do it, the more you show your body by experiencing that you didn't die to say that you didn't say no. Like, no, but and I feel like you can, and it's a learning process, like how to say no. You can say like in a kind way, but you can be firm.
Totally.
Right? Like you can be assertive, but you don't have to be rude how you say no. How you kind of like, you can gently decline things. Like one example that I'll give is, say, like if someone invites me to do something and I honestly, like, either I'm not in the mood, or I'm like,
Right.
I already have a lot going on, I can kindly decline it. It's like, hey, thank you for thinking of me. I cannot do it, but let's get together, some
Right,
other
right.
time. So it
Totally.
is kind of in my way. This is how also practicing boundaries, like even
Yeah.
like family, I think it's a good also
Yeah.
test around like boundaries, like with family members. And I would say now that we are approaching the holidays, what
Oh,
a great way
perfect.
to like
Yeah.
just to like start practicing boundaries because it's challenging.
It is challenging, especially if like you're so used to not having them. And like I am in the same boat. Like I didn't know what boundaries were like at all. And I also didn't know myself either. I feel like as you get to know yourself and like what your own boundaries are, like right now I'm kind of like figuring out like what do I really value in like a romantic partnership? Like, because, and for a long time, I would say I was on autopilot with like the men that I was like having situationships with. And like, just because I'm so used to be on autopilot, it's easy. Like, in my mind, it was like, oh, it's easier to just like flow and go along with things and then find out if it's going to be uncomfortable or painful or terrible. And then I'll figure out like how to either get out of it or, I mean, I know how to leave any situation. Like, I don't stay for too long if it's really uncomfortable. But, when it comes to work, I would stay because money was holding me over. And like,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
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 well, work, it's a little different, I feel like,
yeah,
because there is, it's a commitment, right?
totally.
You're supposed to do a job. And at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get fired. Or like,
Totally. Like, that's
well, there's,
real.
yeah,
There's,
that's,
yeah,
and that is like it's a realistic concern to have.
right.
But I would also say that we are at a time too that I don't know, like, of course, like also in a process of evolution and growth where nowadays, and I see a lot of this with the newer generation, like, oh, it
Yeah.
sounds such like a boomer talking about, oh, the newer generation, the Gen Z,
You're
they
not even
do
a
the,
boomer now.
I know I'm not, I'm younger than that. But, how people they're a lot more comfortable expressing themselves
Yeah.
and
They
like
don't hold back.
they don't hold back. They really like are able to assert like their own needs and prioritizing themselves instead of just agreeing with everything. And they are very comfortable with so other people are disappointed. So, and I really appreciate that, because I mean, and again, like you and I, we didn't grow up with that. So
Right.
just seeing this generation being a lot more comfortable in this space, to me, I feel very inspired,
Yeah.
and just being in the space where you can just really stay like what you're feeling against kindly, no
Right.
need to be aggressive or rude about things like that. I feel we can still do this from a very, intentional way too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like the more you state your boundaries and the more you are comfortable, just really, I think it's also about protecting your own space
And your peace.
and your peace, your inner peace. I think the
Yeah.
more comfortable you prioritize that, the more you also feel comfortable not being in situations that you are like, you're either dreading or you're feeling uncomfortable or that you just want
Totally.
to get out of it.
Totally. No, and I feel like I've been in a lot of situations like that, like with like mostly social dynamics, right? Where you're like, there's something internal, you're like, I don't fully vibe with this, or like, this isn't serving me. Like, okay, so I was like taking a coworker to work, and I like at my last job, and I like it just became an expectation, like every day, it just became an expectation. Then I was like, ooh, this is like really uncomfortable for me. And like, even though like they live in my neighborhood, like they're a nice person, I just didn't like, I just felt like I was sacrificing my time and just my own ability to be alone in the car. Like sometimes you just have to be alone in the car and like not talk to and separate from everything else, right? Like, so I felt like I never had like, but I felt bad because I would see this person every day at work. So then it was kind of merged between my personal and work life. And I'm naturally an integrated person. Like I love creating friendships in the workplace. I love, a lot of my friends I would refer them to work with me. I'm someone who's like very open to that type of exchange. But if it's at the detriment of like, if it's me providing, and it feels very unbalanced, that's where I'm like, ooh, this is really feeling uncomfortable within me. So instead of like talking to them about it, I got a new job and I left the company. I parachuted out of for other reasons too, but like that was like one of the main, I know this is so silly, but that's like one of the main reasons I was like, I'm out. Like because I had gotten so deep in a people pleasing hole with this person and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I just like abandoned, like abort mission, jump ship, get out of there. And I did get like a pay bump, so it all worked out, but it's like I could have just said, oh no, like not today. Like, cause like, once in a while is fine. But I think, people typically tend to like, once they start receiving help from others, they're like, ooh, this person's open to helping me.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only people that benefit from your lack of boundaries is those type of people.
Yeah, the other people, right? Who take, and I'm not saying she took advantage of me because I don't feel like a victim in the situation. Like I was very present and mentally aware I was at what was happening, but I think I've become less avoidant of uncomfortable conversations where I was very avoidant because I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah, well, you avoid the conflict.
Yeah. You do. Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. I'm the same way too. I find myself in avoiding things. And honestly, like no one wants to be in a conflict sort of situation. And it is uncomfortable. Yeah. But sometimes it's necessary just to have that uncomfortable conversation. Say, hey, this is not working for me anymore. I'm sorry.
Right.
Just kind of finding ways of just, I know that you had a different case, but sometimes just have like, just a heart-to-heart conversation. I would also recommend a book, and I think I might have recommended here on this podcast, that is called Boundary Boss by Terri Cole.
Okay.
Terri Cole, I think she's a therapist or psychologist, and you can follow her on Instagram too. I'll kind of link it in the show notes, but she has little like scripts for every situation, like when people ask you like, really probing questions or things that make you feel very inappropriate or uncomfortable. So she has like little snippets of like how to respond kindly, but setting a boundary at the same time. And she also has a podcast too. So she talks a lot about this stuff, and I learn a lot of, just by reading, her, following her on social media and reading how to manage and deal with with the people pleasing tendencies that I've had. And I don't know, like I feel proud of myself of how far I've come, just being like comfortable saying no to things.
And not thinking twice about it.
Yeah, exactly. And not like feeling that I'm going to be like rejected or feel like interesting because like not too long ago, I was in a situation where it was like with family, of course. And everyone was getting together, and I honestly was like after work, I didn't feel like going, to be honest. I think they had like someone that was in town visiting, but not like someone that I knew really well. And then someone's like, oh, you're not coming?
And I hate that. I hate that. Like, why? I don't need to be there.
It's like, oh, but they would love to see you. And I was like, and honestly, like, I'm like, I was not feeling it. Like, I didn't want to go. No. It wasn't like anything that I felt compelled to. And I'm like, and I kind of said, like, you know what, like, I'll let you know on the day off. Let me think about it. It's great because it kind of gives you that space, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'll let you know on the day off. And I knew I was not going to go. Right?
Well, No,
And
totally.
then the day comes, and they're like, oh, are you joining us? Because, I think they had like a reservation at a restaurant or something. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm not going to go. I'm going to be too tired today. I'm not going to be in the mood. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll catch up another day.
Yeah.
And that was it. I felt like I honored my needs, my boundaries at the same time. Didn't feel like I needed to be rude to the
No,
people.
you don't have
You
to
know?
be rude. You can feedback can be kind, and there's always that saying like feedback's a gift. It can be when you're kind and it's coming from like a redirectional or a good intentional place that's gonna like be proactively like improving the situation for both parties involved.
Yes. And you're not just like projecting, right? Like
Yes.
your own frustration or your disappointment. You come from a place like, okay, let's take a look at this from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right. And I appreciate that too when it's like constructive in a
Yeah.
way. But but and it's still something that I think we're all still learning. A lot of us come from, we still live in a very patriarchal society.
Oh, yeah.
Where women, there's like all this, again, like cultural and gender expectations of how women should behave, how our bodies should look, and how, and in a way it is the people pleasing.
Right.
Because it only benefits one party.
Right. The male gaze.
Exactly.
Like, or when it comes to like body image stuff, like it literally is only benefiting the other person.
Yeah, or women being submissive, right? Because it's easier to manipulate and easier to, using women as objects instead of, right?
It's a person. There's a person in every woman. Like every woman is a person. Yeah, no, and I love this discord going around about like, it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Like, I don't know if you read that article in Vogue,
but I saw the taglines. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, what is it about?
It's like a Discord. I know we have a couple minutes left, but essentially like the TLDR is that she interviewed a bunch of married and partnered people who or women who are in relationships and was talking about like how embarrassing some situations have been for them by being in a relationship with men who haven't shown up for them or like haven't met them where their needs are, and then they just stayed and like continued to tolerate that behavior. So it's more like it's not embarrassing to have a boyfriend essentially like a literal sense, but like there are embarrassing situations of like where people please and accept behaviors from your partner that you would probably not have accepted if you weren't like quote unquote in love with them or
that you feel worthy.
Yes.
Of receiving that. Like that's because there is part of the person that feels like that's all I deserve.
Right. They're like, oh, I need a boyfriend to like make me feel seen in society or accepted or whatever. But I love that all the single women were like, yes, say less. It's so funny.
I see. It's more like how to prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
And therefore have a relationship that matches that.
Absolutely.
I think there's more like, the tagline was kind of deceiving. And I'm like, I don't think people really think that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. But I guess that's kind of why it was so controversial, because it really caught people's attention into this topic, which is very relevant.
It is very relevant. Maybe we'll continue on for the next
episode. I guess we could talk about this like for days and hours at no end, because it's such like a broad and there's so much to talk about this. But we hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you got some insight or tidbits from us talking about this people pleasing patterns and behaviors, and share with us too. Have you been into this situations, and how did you overcome? Are you still going through it? But we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.